Rarely do I ever judge a game by its cover, but when I first saw Pizza Tower, I just dismissed it as yet another indie sprite-based platformer trying to follow in Shovel Knight's footsteps. I then continued to ignore it despite hearing the game's praises on the internet, until I saw its discourse surrounding the Game Awards. People were saying that it was robbed of the title of Best Indie Game, and only then did it catch my attention. And boy am I glad it did, because Pizza Tower is amazing. Developed by Tutti Pizza, Pizza Tower follows the story of a struggling pizzeria owner, Peppino Spaghetti, as he wallows in misery before being told by a sentient pizza face that it's going to destroy his shop using a giant laser built into its very own pizza tower. What did I just say? Their objective is clear: climb up the pizza tower and stop Pizza Face. And so, you move on to the tutorial to learn the controls, and oh my god, it's beautiful! Everything is beautiful, from the Spider-Man 2 music to the way Peppino glides through the stage with controls that are smooth as butter, and the sprites that, despite having this MS Paint-like quality, somehow manage to remain incredibly expressive. Alright, let's back up. Peppino's main ability is his speed, which can be chained to all his moves. He can grab, throw, run up walls, dive into walls, shine spark into a shoulder bash and belly flop. Yeah, this game doesn't exactly hide its inspirations. Going from playing this game to Wario Land 4 was a surprisingly smooth transition. But his speed is more reminiscent of Sonic the Hedgehog. Did you really think I was making a non-Sonic video? Come on, keep up. The game allows you to take the speed to Mach 4. Literally, Peppino runs on all fours, and maintaining that speed is the name of the game. Along the way, you'll need to rescue Toppins from their cages. They give you $10 each, which you'll need because, you know, boss gates aren't cheap. But that was the tutorial, and come the first level, Jean Gutter, a new mechanic is introduced. The sign says, do not break. This fella here is Jean the Pillar, and at the end of each stage, Peppino breaks him, learning Pizza Face to our location and starting pizza time. This is where the Wario Land 4 inspiration becomes really clear by the way you just make a mad dash through the level to the exit door. This isn't just a simple replay though. Throughout this stage, you'll notice these little dudes. These are Jean blocks, obviously. Some are active and others you can walk right through. During pizza time, these two switch, which can lead you to take entirely different routes on your way back. And it's here where I have to mention the music. The timer for your journey back is actually really lenient, and you'll see why, but for now, you need to run. And the track Pizza Time encapsulates that franticness perfectly, leaving new players in a panic to get back before Pizza Face shows up, while also giving more experienced players a rush like no other, as they look at that timer and say, I've got one more in me, and barge right into the optional lap 2 and do it again to increase the rank. But seeing as I'm nowhere near skilled enough to go for P ranks, I'll just do my one and get an A. Back to the music though, Pizza Tower's OST now belongs in my video game music hall of fame, as every track is pure perfection at setting the atmosphere for the stage it's in. Don't get me wrong, the music is in no way a masterclass in composition, but something about how unapologetically loud it is, along with how it keeps the energy up dashing through the stages and makes sure that you notice it, shows an infectious confidence that is by all means very warranted. My personal favorites have to be Deep Dash 9, Crust Cove. Hey, this sample sounds familiar. And literally any boss theme. But what would a good platformer be without good levels? The game is divided into 5 floors, each floor housing 3 to 5 levels. The floors don't really have a theme, except for floor 2 sticking pretty closely to the Wild West. Every level is unique in some way, be that by making use of the environment, power-ups, or both. You'll often find that progression is blocked by rats that can only be defeated using the level's gimmick. For instance, the first power-up you come across in the stage Pizza Escape is a sword that transforms Peppino into Knight with a double jump and makes him unstoppable when sliding off slope until you hit a wall or find the pizza priest to return back to normal. The game gets really creative with these two examples, like a spicy pizza giving Peppino flight, becoming the Pizza Pox, becoming the pizza, a special guest appearance from the PS1 icon Mort the Chicken himself, and even a new playable character in the form of sous chef Gustavo and his pal Brick appearing in Gnome Farm and Pig City. They have an entirely different moveset than Peppino that I'd say felt closer to Rayman Legends than Wario, but with a twist of course. They even interact with level objects differently, such as Peppino grinding on rails while Gustavo holds on and moves along. It's so much fun seeing all the transformations and gimmicks in the levels, especially seeing as they don't break the game's pace, the only exception being golf, which is about as pace breaking as it gets. But even then, it's difficult to rank a stage in this game lower than an 8 out of 10, with how consistently great they are. Special mention has to go to Deep Dish 9 with all its gimmicks focusing on speed and being a general highlight of the game. I also like that the levels have title cards with music that reminds me a lot of the Mario Sunshine secret levels. This one even accurately depicts Sonic Team's reaction when they're told of the time they have left before the next game releases. I already mentioned how the art has this MS Paint-like quality to it, but it also reminds me a bit of old Newgrounds animation as it's intentionally made to look crude yet appealing. Something I really like though is how they use the artwork for transitions and gags, like how switching from Gustavo back to Peppino shows a screen that says back to that guy, or when taking a cab in Pig City during pizza time, Pizza faces the driver and Peppino freaks out. Speaking of freaking out, it's time to talk about the bosses. Floor 1 has Peppino face off against Pepperman, a red bell pepper with an ego the size of the tower itself. Pepperman's a simple introductory boss to the game that is nonetheless challenging to first-time players with his fast attacks and changing patterns, until they realize that the patterns are consistent and it's really just a game of memorization and execution. A new player would likely deal the 10 hit points to Pepperman with 3 strat paths to their name, before realizing that there is a second phase. Phase 2 of a boss usually entails faster and more chaotic attacks and sometimes a change in the environment to make the fight harder, but also more fun to execute. For example, Floor 2's boss, the Vigilante, introduces us to a new weapon, the gun. Phase 1 of the fight, just like Pepperman, has us attacking the Vigilante while dodging his attacks, but whereas Pepperman's second phase just had faster attacks with the addition of new ones from his minions, here the entire scenery of the stage switches, as the developers deservedly flex that their art is unique and recognizable even in silhouette form. The fight ends with a quick draw between Peppino and the Vigilante, and you can guess how that goes. It's around this point where I realized why I enjoy Pizza Tower's bosses so much. In your first playthrough, you're gonna panic and dash around the arena like normally doing the stages, but it's only when you calm down and learn the boss's attacks that you're able to actually defeat it, often quite easily at that. What surprised me about boss 3 though, was that I somehow managed to miss an entire part of Peppino's moveset. You see, I thought the taunt was just there to look cool, which does seem like an obvious mistake in hindsight. I mean, how can you make this man any cooler than he already is? But it turns out that it's actually a pairing. Very quickly, this boss fight turned to Dark Souls, and I enjoyed it a lot. The fourth boss though is actually kept a secret by the game in its intro, so once again, I want to give a spoiler warning if you haven't played the game, because you really should. That being said, Fake Peppino is creepy. Even from the boss door, you can tell that something is very clearly off, and that you aren't fighting a simple clone. His movements are drippy, he melts through the floor, the clones he summons look lifeless, the music is wonky, and during the entirety of the fight, you feel creeped out, all culminating in the final chase as you run away from a monstrous version of yourself before emerging out in Bruno's Pizza. Had it not been for the final boss, Fake Peppino would take the spot as my favorite fight in the game. But we still got the ending to talk about, and that is Floor 5. Consisting of 3 levels, Floor 5 is unique. One level is a spooky remake of the first level you play, Pizza Escape, now titled Pizza Scare, but that's not why the floor stands out. It's the other 2 levels that make Floor 5 what it is. Don't Make a Sound is Five Nights at Freddy's parody with actual jump scares if you get caught. There's a bit of strategy to keeping the alarms in check so that the animatronics aren't activated, but sometimes you'll be locked into a chase. What's brilliant about the stage though is how Pizza Tower ensures that the player leaves the stage not feeling anxious or scared, but powerful, because you get a shotgun. Nothing stands in your path now, and you end up loving this thing, which is why I'm so happy that we use it again in War. This stage is entirely based on the shotgun. You have it from start to finish, but you're constantly under the stress of a timer. Basically, this entire stage is a pizza time to reach the exit with the shotgun. But now comes my favorite part of the game. We walk down this long hallway only to find Pizza Face taking a bath. Even more strangely is that he runs away despite establishing that he can pretty easily kill Peppino. We climb up the tower and start our fight against Pizza Face. Phase 1 of the fight involves us throwing enemies into Pizza Face to bring him down and damage him. It's surprisingly easy for a final fight. We deal the last hit, expecting Phase 2 to be more of the same, only for the true antagonist to be revealed, Pizza Head. And from there, the fight absolutely derails into insanity. Pizza Head gives us a gun and laughs as we fight. The music goes from ear to ear, mocking Peppino for taking this so seriously while Pizza Head is anything but. He's random, sporadic, anything goes here. At one point, he attempts to pull a sword, yet pulls that part of the tower instead. Nothing is taken seriously until the last first bullet is hit and Pizza Head falls, only to immediately get back up again and shock everyone. In an absolutely crazy move, Pizza Head pulls out every previous boss we fought before, and the boss rush is seemingly about to ensue. But Peppino has had enough. For this entire adventure, he's been anxious and scared, yet persevered for the sake of his livelihood, and now he's reached his breaking point. He shrieks one last scream into the heavens as Pizza Head realizes what he's just unleashed onto the world. And then... I can't even begin to describe how good of a boss rush this is. It takes the formula and flips it on its head. You are the boss fight. Every punch Peppino hits is visceral and full of rage and pure adrenaline for the player. Add on to that the blaring OST and you get a boss rush done right. Even Pizza Head gets this treatment while remaining his overly cheery self until Peppino punches him so fast they rise into the air and Pile drives him into the tower to finish off the fight. This finale is perfect, but we're not done. There's still one more tower we have to escape. Those drawn blocks weren't just there for decoration, you know. So we run through the pizza tower, rescuing everyone along the way, while re-experiencing past level gimmicks at their respective floors, tying a little bow on the adventure, as Bye Bye There plays loudly in the background, giving us a fitting end to Pizza Tower. I love Peppino's facial expression here. It sums up everything that just happened perfectly. And that was Pizza Tower. Depending on your ranking, you'll get a final judgment, as well as a new outfit for beating the game. So what did I do next? I immediately hopped back into it to replay my favorite stages. If you haven't played this game, but are for some reason still watching, first of all, thank you very much, I appreciate it, but more importantly, you owe it to yourself to play this masterpiece. It stands with the platforming greats everyone knows and loves, and even runs circles around other good ones. It's not often that I'll give a game this title, but at least to me, Pizza Tower is... Hey everyone, thank you for watching this far into the video. I truly hope you enjoyed it, seeing as this is my longest script yet. If you did, then consider subscribing and maybe even commenting. You'll give this video engagement. I know this is different from my other stuff, but regardless, I hope you have a great rest of your day and goodbye.